In the late 60s, when the history of modern hyperbikes was just beginning with the arrival of the German 80-horsepower Mammoth TTS, there existed a 100-horsepower rotary alternative. The most powerful motorcycle that money could buy, the Veen OCR 1000 owned by Dutch magnate Hendrik van Wijn, featured a car-like two-section rotary engine with a displacement of 1000 cc and over 100 horsepower. The innovative design of this bike would later be successfully copied by other manufacturers. Just below 40 units were made, each priced at €40,000 upon release. The eponymous company Unveiling in the 60s and 70s successfully supplied its 50cc mopeds and mini bikes from Germany to the Netherlands, and sales were so good that in 1971 they were able to enter the Grand Prix with their own developed Unveiling Kreidlers and witness their riders winning 4 world championships, starting with Jan de Vries in 1971. But all this time, Hendrik is thinking about creating his own motorcycle brand. He creates the first prototype based on the 1000cc engine of the Mazda Cosmo in the frame of the Moto Guzzi V7. The result was impressive, and Van Wijn decides to put the motorcycle into production, but using the NSU engine produced by Komodo in the Netherlands. For this, he assigned the design task to one of his racers, Joe Schergers. And he managed to build this motorcycle not without the help of the British designer Simon Sanders, known today as the owner of the Ariel Car Company, which also produces its own innovative design of motorcycles. The outcome was unveiled in Cologne in October 1974, where the impressive impact was so powerful that certain high-level managers of BMW Motorrad were terminated for permitting a detrimental effect on the company's highly significant domestic market. In addition, OCR also managed to outshine the Honda Golд Wing with Scherger's clearly innovative design, which would later be widely copied by other manufacturers. At a time when the world was steadily recovering from the oil embargo crisis, when a fourfold increase in gasoline prices put an end to a decade of cheap fuel, the idea of launching such an expensive, excessive, and above all gas-guzzling motorcycle would have seemed risky. However, Henk van Wijn pursued his dream by establishing a factory for producing the OCR 1000 in his key potential market in West Germany, which was located in Duderstadt. In 1976, some journalists tested his motorcycle. The engine was impressive. In a joint project with rotary pioneers NSU and Citroën, it was also agreed upon to supply 5 and 10 engines for the OCR 1000. The OCR engine, even at 3,000 revolutions per minute, produced 60 horsepower, despite its dry weight of 292 kilograms. The performance was impressive. The bike accelerated from 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds and reached a max speed of 224 kilometers per h. Additionally, it reached 200 in just 16 seconds. Even today, this is a decent indicator for a sport tourer. However, complaints from external testers about poor throttle response, gearbox deficiencies, and ineffective brakes were critical factors for such a fast machine with minimal engine braking. Van Wijn delays production, but it was eventually started a year later. The optimistic plans of the Dutch entrepreneur for 2,000 units per year were shattered shortly after the first few motorcycles were delivered to customers. Komodo ceases engine production due to technical issues with rotor sealing. A common issue for early engines, even for Mazda, which will certainly solve this problem later on. Van Wijn struggled with production, and in 1981, after building only 38 units, the factory closed down. But now, 40 years later, the ultra-lightweight Van Wijn has returned to production, partly due to Dutch enthusiast Jovan Rutsler, who purchased remaining Van Wijn engines not put into production. From this, he assembled the Van Wijn OCR 1000-39 for himself, but had no intention of doing anything until he met Andries Willinga, based in the neighboring northern city of Holland, a restorer of classic Citroën cars, including, of course, the very rare GSB rotor. Together, they decided to construct 10 more original and authentic models of the OCR 1000. They restored absolutely everything, starting from the digital design and ending with a full stock of original parts and the supply of small details. Almost everything found except for steel tubular frame to be manufactured by Nico Becker, same as original. From this perspective, new OCR not replica, but continuation of original production. Even the aluminum wheels by Ronald were present, which were extremely futuristic at that time, as everyone was riding on spokes. There was also an original 42mm fork with horse internals and a Brembo braking system with dual piston subcalipers on 280mm brake discs. I suppose at that time they were dealing with a braking issue. Back then, all of this was extremely important and partially justified the high price. The motorcycle was exclusively produced in the company's black and green design, a standout feature used by the team's racers. The delivery time is 3 months, and only 10 units will be built, 4 of which have already been sold. The number reflects the remaining engines in stock, in which, by the way, rotor problems were solved thanks to Mazda's solutions. Now a bit about the handling qualities. The engine, powered by 2 Solex carburetors, is very smooth with no vibrations and a distinctive rotary sound, something in between 2 strokes and 4 strokes. After 2000 revs, the engine revs up explosively and does not decrease until the cutoff. The paradox is there's no actual cutoff, and the engine keeps revving without a power drop after the red zone. No risk of lifting the front wheel due to the long wheelbase and heavy engine with iron rotors. Very elastic, even at 2000 revolutions per minute, it has a serious performance reserve. Comfort is also enhanced by the hydraulic clutch, which is quite precise and simple. The seating position is upright and doesn't cause discomfort up to 140 km/h, but due to the engine's design, the right footrest location is not convenient. The clutch housing presses against your ankle, making it uncomfortable to reach the rear brake. Due to the lack of engine braking, you have to press the brakes very hard, too hard. Today, this motorcycle is priced at 85k euros, and it can be bought as a collector's item. For the rest, a motorcycle at such a price should at least have Öhlins suspensions and Brembo radial brakes to fully utilize the potential of this engine. The motorcycle, of course, was ahead of its time in terms of concept and performance, but the brakes and suspension will not allow you to fully enjoy it.